How could he have trick-or-treated to death? The night just started. Here's your spooky spot on the NECA Ben Cooper Halloween 2 Michael Myers action. The Ben Cooper Costume Kids collection is back with Series 9, bringing a fresh batch of spooky trick-or-treaters to your shelf. Based on the licensed kid costumes from one of the largest Halloween costume manufacturers in the 1950s to 80s, these fully posable 6-inch figures perfectly capture the vintage charm of the looks from the era. The wave features NECA's original designs in the style of Ben Cooper costumes, as if they were produced today, reimagining the legendary horror villains. Wearing a mask and soft goods clothing, replicating the vinyl looks of the classic costumes, each frightful figure comes complete with movie-specific trick-or-treating bag or pumpkin bucket accessory. I think when the old man at Silver Shamrock said we'd be making other masks, we all assumed it would be different molds. We never thought it'd be different shapes. Before though we get a closer look at the Ben Cooper designed Michael Myers, let's take the tape measure and see how tall the figure stands. Then I'm sure we will be joined by other trick-or-treaters in a moment. But first things first, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. The tape measure first is going to tell us that Myers stands at 5 1/4 inches or 5 3/4 of an inch in height. That's going to work out to be a figure that's 14 centimeters tall. Joining us now to go door to door is the previously looked at Ben Cooper Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface. And in the review of the Leatherface, we had brought in also the trick-or-treaters from Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So let's bring those all in right now. There's the jack-o'-lantern, there's the skeleton, and up front and center, there's the witch, who always seemed to be a harder one to stand. And even though it's not a retrocloth figure, probably would have made better sense to do that, I also want to bring in one that knows a little bit about going door to door, not collecting candy, but collecting lives. Here's what the figure looks like with the ultimate Halloween 2, Michael Myers. Crap job of showing you this in the review of Leatherface, but to bring back in the box here for the Ben Cooper Michael Myers, one thing I do think that's kind of cool about this, yes, there is the window that Michael is always staring at. What exactly is he looking at? I really don't know. But the box itself does look like something you'd expect to see in the late 70s and early 80s. Ben Cooper, of course, represented at the top corner. In preparation to this review, I had gone back and watched the Ben Cooper documentary, which is currently over on Tubi. So if you want to see the documentary on Ben Cooper, it's currently free. It's currently on Tubi. No, I have no sponsorships with Tubi. One thing I also really like about the box is it's recommended for 5'5" tall characters. I think that's kind of cool. But the box, we'll move it off to the side here, and let's look at the accessory that come included with Michael. Now, when we did look at Leatherface, Leatherface came included with the gift bag. The trick-or-treating bag, of course, he can go door to door. The bag, truth be told, though, I don't think would really be able to hold much. Serving up a human head inside the bag, there's no way a bag like this would be able to carry that. Although I got to say, like, the strength of the bags are still pretty good on these. Michael Myers, though, does not come included with a gift bag. But what he does have, though, hold on, hold your frowns for right now. The figure does have, instead of that, the poster art Halloween 2 skeleton, or skull jack-o'-lantern, which is really super cool. There is technically still a place to store things inside. A candle, another human head. Why are we on the topic of human heads right now? I'm sure, though, you could find yourself candies small enough to sit inside the tiny little plastic bucket that comes included with Michael Myers. Pumpkin does look good. I would have liked if it could have been a little bit brighter. I mean, again, like, this is supposed to be a kid's costume. Kids love bright colors. At least my kid does. So I would think, though, that making this a brighter orange would have worked a little bit better than the dingier, darker orange that we get treated to instead. Now, that he does have gripping hands on the ends of his forearms. Thank you for noticing that, by the way. The figure does have, then, based on that, means to hold the pumpkin. You can just simply bend the elbows, twist the hands, and you just take yourself the handle of the jack-o'-lantern and fit that in between his grip. I will say, though, the grip is kind of hard to get in there. You have to kind of get it around his thumb. But after that, he succeeds enough, providing, of course, he doesn't drop his other hand. Let's get that hand back in there. And then he'd sure be fine to hold the pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern, to go door to door with. I always seem to have one issue with this hand always falling out. Let's hope it stays for the rest of this review. I really like the look of that quite a bit. Yes, it's a little bit of a bummer that they don't all stay consistent, but kind of the idea is cool, the idea that they would swap around and change out the different things that they go to door to door, collecting candies. As for the actual container for candies, let's just take that out of his hand for right now and move it off to the side and get a closer look at Michael Myers, the shape. What a cool shape he is. Now, thinking though it was the exact same shape as Leatherface we looked at before, it is not. You can see though that it's a different hair sculpt altogether. So his hair is a little finer, this hair is a little bit longer, and maybe, well, a little longer and easier to comb. The skin color is also considerably different between the two figures, while I'm sure though clearly you can see that they are using the exact same bodies. It's though just between changing out the different head styles and the skin tones of the characters, you can at least have the characters look different from one another. If these all look the same skin color, I think it would kind of lose a little bit of the appeal. Different kids would wear different costumes, so I like that every kid is being represented here. There is though a string represented on the back, but it's only suggestedly sculpted there. You can see that it's been tied off on the back. This would be a this would be an elastic strap wrapped around the back of the head to keep the mask on. The mask is not removable like it was with Leatherface. Well, Leatherface wasn't also removable, so don't try to pry this off. Somebody said that you could pry this off, but I would think though that if you did, there would be nothing really underneath that. More of a fright than anything else. It does feel like it's got a little bit of give, but I think the little bit of give is just the lack of glue that's holding this in place. You can kind of see the way it's rocking back and forth. I am so tempted to peel this off, but I know I would only really regret it. Could I glue it back in place? Oh, I feel like I'm going to break it. I'm going to leave it alone. I know there probably is something unsettling underneath the mask. I'm just going to leave it alone. You can still see, though, that there's eyes sculpted underneath. Those are the blackest eyes. And again, like those eyes look like they're looking down on you. The eyebrows are at least on here instead of actually just ripping them all off. The sideburns aren't there at all. I do actually like that they've added the yellowingness to this as opposed to just making the mask a solid white. Yes, he does have the bleeding eyes, but the bleeding eyes are blended in with that little bit of yellow, so it does make it look a little bit more like a kid-friendly costume. The hair is nicely done there too. You got the brown there and a little bit of the yellow accents added there too. It really does make this look more like a 70s costume. Now again, it loses the illusion clearly. A Ben Cooper costume a lot of times didn't really so much rely on making an actual suit. I mean, Leatherface, they did more so of a better job of giving him the kill apron as well as the pants and the shirt. This time, Michael Myers is literally just sporting himself. He has a picture of himself walking through the flames, I'm guessing of the hospital. I think that's really sculpted well. Not sculpted well, I think that's really painted well. And it's got the Halloween 2 down below. I mean, there's so many different rules that he's breaking right now. The fact that, first of all, he's wearing a costume that has his own likeness on it, and that it's also got the likeness and the movie that he appears in. Just wrong and wrong, but somehow makes it right. I do think, though, that the flames add a little bit of color just to an overall all-blue suit. Whereas at least Leatherface had the yellow on the top, of course it did have the blue down below. Michael really relying on all the blue jumpsuit. Adding this good burst of color there on the front of the chest not only does make it look like a Ben Cooper costume from the 80s, but it does bring it, again, a much-needed bit of color. I'll tell you the only one thing I really don't like about the figure is the fact that he has white shoes. Not that they're, well, I guess that they are white. The sculpting isn't so bad. I mean, if you're looking at these shoes and you look at the one that we get from Leatherface, it does seem like they are different shoes, so they're probably using different molds for those. I just feel like white is too stark. It's too bright. I mean, you already have so much white happening here for the mask. I feel like having also equally bright white shoes draws almost even more competing attention away from the mask. I would have rather just had these shoes completely black. Black, like doll's eyes. Doll's eyes. These just, I feel, are way too bright, and again, they compete with the mask. I would have just made them much darker color. If you weren't going to do a dark black, maybe even a dark gray would have worked really well as well. The suit itself is kind of, again, like that. It's got like a vinyl material. It does have a Velcro on the back, so of course you can open it up if you want. And you can take this off Michael Myers' body. I'm only going to take it down just a little bit so you guys can see. It's just a regular body underneath. It hasn't had enough time to stain the suit or stain the body underneath. If you look at actually the inside of this suit, I don't think the likelihood is that is going to happen anyways. The actual nylon material, I guess it is more of a nylon, is not actually stained all the way through. So even though it looks like they probably have dyed it, the inside of it doesn't actually look like. Here's probably a better way to show you. See, the inside of it is still white. So I don't think any of this will end up bleeding onto it. The blue is only on the exterior of the costume, not on the interior. There is one thing, though, I do kind of worry about. Again, the longevity of these. Bending like elbows for long periods of time and having these like that over years, I wonder if that's going to start to develop splitting. If it doesn't develop splitting, I wonder if the color is going to start to crack around areas where it's always being bent. I mean, again, I've only had this figure out of the packaging for probably like 2.5 hours, 3 hours before I hit the record button. But like, I don't think in that amount of time any damage has been done to the suit itself. Over time, though, I just kind of think to myself, is this something that where the blue, if you were to say like speed through time, jump into your time jumping machine, years from now, I would think though, like you probably would go back to like the elbow area. So if you had your figure always like this, for example, and you move the elbow down, I would imagine you would probably start to see like white lines right here where the color would start to crack around where those areas would have bent. I mean, obviously, again, it hasn't happened yet, and I hope it doesn't either. For the figure's articulation, again, if you're familiar with the trick-or-treaters from Halloween 3, or again, if you're familiar with the Ben Cooper Leatherface that we've already had a look at, Michael Myers will be exactly the same. His head, for example, is going to be on a ball joint, so it allows the head to rotate all the way around. It looks down, it looks up. It does also back and forth as well. You can also have it slightly nodded to the side. And of course, you can twist it all the way around. Now, the arms do move forward and back. They seem really tight on my figure to the point where I don't really want to budge them too much for the fear that they may crack or break completely off. The arms do at least bend out. There's enough at least give down below in the armpits that you can pull off a 90-degree angle bend. The arms themselves do seem to also have a bicep swivel, double hinge on the elbow, and the hands rotate all the way around. This hand, again, isn't so much the issue. I find every once in a while, though, this hand pops off frequently, maybe a little too frequently than I would have liked, from the ball joint or from the hole inside the forearm. Just plug that back in place. The upper torso is going to be what seems to be on a ball joint, so you can move that around. There is no waist swivel, and I don't think it necessarily needs it either. Legs split out. You can take them, move them forward. You can move them back. You can swivel at the top of the thigh, of course, as well. Single hinge only for the knee. And then again, if we roll up the pant leg here, there's a hinge back and forth on the foot and a rock back and forth this way as well. Would it be like, I would hate to say this, like Ben Tramer. Ben Tramer, other than just really wearing the mask, didn't at all look like Michael Myers. Would like Loomis at all chase this guy across the street and this guy get hit just because he resembled Michael Myers? I think this one be having a harder time resembling the shape. Sure, he resembles the shape in the mask, but like everything else gets lost from the head down. I mean, clearly Michael Myers, I don't think would ever really wear a jumpsuit that actually has his own image on it. I mean, there's no way he could blend amongst the shadows if he's clearly walking around advertising exactly who he is. He also probably wouldn't even have the name of the movie that he appears in either. That just seems so strange. But again, like if you really want to have these guys displayed out on Halloween, or hey, why not all year round? They blend perfectly in well with the trick-or-treaters that we've already had a look at. We'll just again bring these guys back all in. And again, like if you want to also bring back in the other Ben Cooper figure, again, this is something I said when we did look at the Leatherface. This is a new thing for me to really start getting into collecting. I mean, up to this point, like we're into Series 9, so I'm really behind on looking at these. But I can understand certainly why people really liked collecting the Ben Cooper figures. I, as a kid, had a Ben Cooper He-Man figure, a He-Man costume that I did mention in the review of Leatherface. I mean, I already know Ben Cooper well enough. I recognize the costumes. I recognize the designs. Like, he has a very unique design to it. And even though, like, Michael Myers, nor Leatherface for that matter, ever really appeared in the original Ben Cooper costumes, I'm glad that NECA has carried on the torch and made designs of their own that could still seemingly you could believe that they would have existed back in the time that you were first wearing them as kids. It's kind of funny that I'm looking at the Ben Cooper Michael Myers second after Leatherface, but really though, Michael Myers was the reason why I even bought these in the first place. I had kind of just looked at listings of these, and it's not that I haven't seen them, but I've only seen them really ever online. The prices generally were sold as sets, so you wouldn't really necessarily be seeking out one individual Ben Cooper kid. You'd generally, though, be buying the 5 or the 6 that were part of the set. And usually, for me at least, the set would set me back anywhere from $129 to about $149 for the complete set. I happened just to go onto a site and they were selling them individually. And I'm not to say that other sites don't do this, but just with the idea and the interest in only getting the Michael Myers, I ventured just to buy him and him alone. And while sure enough, though, I looked him up, sure enough, really next to him was also the listing there for Leatherface. Well, sure enough, before I knew it, I added both of them to the cart. And even though, again, like I looked at Leatherface first, Michael Myers really, again, was the reasoning why I wanted these. Michael Myers, again, looks ridiculous as a killer, but as a kid dressed as a killer, which seems so wrong to say, he looks perfect as a Michael. Yes, he does. He loses some of that of being just wearing his boiler, or his jumpsuit they generally would have wore walking the streets of Haddonfield. But what he gains instead, though, is the charm that would have made the Ben Cooper costumes the fun thing in the first place. Back then, kids didn't mind so much that you had literally the image of the character that you were wearing as your suit. I mean, back then, you wouldn't go up to a kid and say, I don't think that Batman would wear a suit that actually said Batman on the front of it. Maybe they did, but they were just jerk kids anyways. Now you can look back on this, and even like the designs generally that Ben Cooper did back in the 50s to the 80s, you can look back at that now and just think of it as nostalgia. And that's the thing that kind of makes me feel that again while I'm collecting these characters, is the nostalgia that goes with it. Having Michael Myers so absurdly being printed on the front of his outfit, and on top of that, he's got Halloween 2 just below that. It's just that right kind of good thing that goes along with Ben Cooper's designs. The mask also looks fitting enough. It obviously doesn't fit around the character's head completely. It's all just a vac plastic molded mask that really only would have attached by an elastic strap on the back. Pray that your elastic strap never broke. I know with my He-Man it broke a couple of times, and my poor mother had to then put in a couple of new holes on the sides of the mask and feed through. I think she had a red elastic. Now that I'm really remembering it, she used a string. She used this string because the elastic initially broke before I had the chance to wear it out for trick-or-treating. That's the big mistake I made by wearing it to school in the first place. All in all, though, I really like the look of Michael Myers. Is he ridiculous? Yes. Does he look at all like the shape from the movies? No, but he doesn't need to either. None of the Ben Cooper figures, for the most part, have to really look like their killer counterparts. Leatherface did the better job of doing that, but Michael has the color, and that's the thing I like the most. The one thing, though, in color I wish that they could have changed is the bright white shoes. The white sneakers just doesn't work for me. Just doesn't cut it. I would have rather, though, that the shoes be either a gray or a black, something not to draw attention away from his white mask. The white mask, really, I think, it should be the only thing that's white on the entire figure's body. What do you guys think of the Ben Cooper kids? This is the Wave 9 Michael Myers. Have you already picked up this one for yourself, or is this one definitely that's going to be on your list? If you guys did enjoy this video, you can do it a solid and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? Yeah, I hope so. This isn't I keep saying this. This isn't the end, by the way, of Spottober. We've got plenty more spooky videos coming your way, so I hope you guys are going to be coming back for that. In the meantime, though, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button down below. Wander very closely to that eerie-looking cemetery over there. That's where the bell notification is going to be. I don't know why it's over there. Maybe it's telling us that eventually they're going to bury the idea of a bell notification and just move to more sensible ideas of a subscribe button alone. But make sure you turn on the bell so you're going to get those reminders every single time a new video pops up. Over on the Spottober channel. Actually, it's just the Review Spot channel. But during the month of Spottober, it's a little bit spooky more. There's going to be a lot more videos coming your way, guys. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.